welcome to the national pastime. I'm Nash.
I'm Aaron.
All right.
A little early today.
That's right. All right, you go again. You go.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Nash, who the podcast is named after.
So
all right.
I was for a second. I was like, oh, do you want me to go?
Yeah, I was like... Also, I hesitated even saying the name. I was like, welcome to the show that we do. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got here. I wrote extra small today. Today's sponsor, food. You can consume almost anything, but not everything you can eat is food.
Mm-hmm. Sage advice.
Yeah. Should you eat that thing? You be the judge. Food. Don't let people tell you what to do. Because that's going to be part of the theme for today's episode. But before we get into all that,
one last thing.
Yeah.
Just because it's non-toxic
also doesn't mean
it's edible.
It doesn't mean it's edible. Well, technically it is edible.
It's edible, but it doesn't mean you should
food.
eat it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's food. Or maybe do. I mean, natural selection and all that.
Do and see what happens.
Yeah, just, make an educated choice, like we always say. Know what you're doing. We're going to talk about that later. About times that maybe I didn't know what I was doing regarding foodstuffs. And so will you. So start your wheels turning. But before that, did you do anything interesting since the last episode?
So I ordered a air conditioner off Amazon.
Did the back of your car melt off? Was it always that color of missing color?
Yeah,
oh.
White.
Yeah, I never noticed that.
But it's weird because it started as just one little edge, maybe about the size of a silver dollar.
Right.
And over the next 2 years, it just spread like cancer. Across the entire rear bumper.
Like a virulent plague. All right, so you ordered an air conditioner off of Amazon?
Yeah, this was after going to an actual store. I bought an air conditioner about a year ago at Menards, which, for our listeners, it's basically like a Home Depot.
Or Lowe's. It's a large hardware store.
Yeah.
It's
a chain store, but it's pretty much all just in the Midwest.
It's got lumber and
stuff.
I don't know,
tools and
they've got a Menards in Alaska.
Really?
Pretty sure. Is there another hardware store that starts with an M? That's that same style of store?
There probably is, but
I'm pretty sure it was a Menards. Because I remember being like, oh, Menards.
So I thought Menards was just Midwest. Lowe's, I know, was
This was definitely not
national.
This was definitely not Lowe's.
Same as Home Depot. But,
yeah.
But anyways, when I went there a year and a half or so ago, they had 5 or 6 different brands of air conditioners, and I was like, all right, I'll get this one. And I've been very happy with it, but it's too small. It doesn't effectively cool my entire apartment.
Those are rich people problems. I don't use air conditioning or heating.
Well, I do fine without heat. I sleep with my window open in the winter. I like it to be freezing in my room when I go to sleep. But that's the problem. Now my room's 85 when I go to sleep, and
right.
It's uncomfortably warm. And I had an air conditioner in my bedroom, the one that came with the apartment, but it's from the 80s.
Right.
And it's
just
not working anymore.
Is it a hand crank air conditioner?
Oh,
you have to
it uses that
fill it with bags of ice.
It uses that newfangled electric juice. But
that's never catching on.
The compressor will just shut off for 4 or 5 hours at a time.
Is it one of those giant ones that used to fall out of windows and kill people?
Yes.
Weighs 70,000 pounds and all corners.
Yeah. It's super heavy and sharp metal edges. So that one just stopped working. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna buy a new one. Went to Menards. They only sell one brand of air conditioner now.
Huh.
It's different models, but it's one manufacturer. And I was like, I don't agree with this. And it was well,
I demand a free market, a free and open market for my air conditioners.
And I was like, well, I kind of planned on just buying the same brand that I bought last time because I've been very happy with it. It performs adequately for the size that it is. It's a 6,000.
That's how the ladies rate me as well.
Yeah.
They say I perform adequately.
I can't fault it for not cooling my entire house because it's not powerful enough to do it because I bought one that's too small. It's operating the way it's supposed to. So I was like, I want to buy the same brand, but I'll get like a bigger one.
Hey, I'm sure your previous air conditioner was at least average size. I'm sure it was fine.
And so yeah, they didn't have it there, and found out like apparently no one carries that brand in stores now. But found it on Amazon for like cheaper than I would have paid in store anyway.
All right, moment of truth. Has it arrived yet?
Well, I ordered it on Sunday.
Okay.
So it's supposed to arrive between Wednesday and Friday.
All right, because I'm really excited to hear if it's like broken or it's just a toy model of the air conditioner you want.
It's an empty box.
Yeah, it's just a picture of that air conditioner.
Pick it. Wow, it's really light.
Any other developments and
nothing super exciting. No. After my dad's stepmom passed away about 1.5 years ago.
Okay. Topical.
And they just now finished like exercising her will.
Okay.
Which like I knew I was getting some money from that.
Oh.
But it's not like a huge amount of money or anything. It's
right.
I'm not like desperately needing it or anything. It's like, oh, you know. That's
well, what's huge to you and huge to me?
It's 2,000.
Okay. Well, I mean, you didn't have to say the amount, but yeah, that's a huge number to me. It's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a insignificant amount of money. It's not like pocket change.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not like like $1 million.
That would do me quite nice. I wouldn't.
But yeah, I was like, I'll use that money, buy a new air conditioner, and the rest will probably be going to a down payment eventually for buying a new car because mine's starting to fall apart.
It's just so normal and well
Yeah.
thought out.
Yeah.
And like, jeez Louise. Like, oh, good, a fortunate windfall that I will use to, responsibly invest in my future and current affairs.
Yeah.
Just be like, I'm renting a jetpack. I'm finally hunting for treasure on this one inaccessible place.
Well, then, like, the fun thing is, like, I'll probably buy a new video card.
That's something.
Sir, that's only enough money for 5 minutes of the jetpack? I don't care!
I'm going on a one-way trip.
Oh, I did see a really interesting thing online. Like, those, basically those, like, water jet packs?
Yeah.
That they basically, like, hook up to, like, a wave runner type thing.
Yeah.
But then you have, like, a belt on it and has jets that shoot water
so hard that you fly up into
that
the
you
air.
like float up in the air.
Yeah.
Like 20 feet.
Yeah.
Well, I saw a video.
Newton's third law. I've heard of it.
Yeah. I saw a video of basically like a single person sailing boat.
Yeah.
Like it was basically someone taking video of the person on the jetpack thing, like
right,
flying around. But there was a person out on this lake and like on a sailboat, and their boat tipped over.
Yeah.
And the person in the jetpack thing, basically, like, obviously you have to be able to shut it off so you can, like, land.
You just take the belt off and hope for the best.
But, like, I guess you can, like, adjust it so you, like, you come down slowly.
Right.
And then I guess even when you're in the water,
Hold up. Please tell me that this guy lowered down to the water and then, like, picked up the boat and turned the pack on and then, like, lifted the boat. Yes!
That basically he, he grabbed, like, you, like, went down, but still had it going so, like, he would stay buoyant.
Right.
And, like, basically grabbed, like, the mast of the boat
like,
at the top of it, turn it back on, and then, like, flew back up in the air and, like, righted the boat.
Nice. So he's just like a really crappy, tethered Iron Man.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But I thought that was pretty awesome.
Did you see the video of the flying jet skis that they have now? It's like a wave runner, but it's also a drone. There's a commercial for it where some rich person on a lake is talking to some other rich person on the lake, and they're like, "Oh, you should take your boat over and, come over and join us for dinner." It's like, "Oh, I've got something much better in mind," and it's just like, just flies up through the sky and lands. It's pretty obnoxious.
I'm sure though that like it's like the water jetpack things that like it's got to be like spraying water everywhere.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work on water. It's air.
What?
Yeah, propellers everywhere. It's it looks like a drone. It looks like someone put a wave runner on top of a really big drone.
I'm not gonna find it.
No.
I was trying to find it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
looks like Ben was trying to find the video I was talking about. But,
yeah, sound guy Ben trying to find it. But who doesn't want to see that? Let's see. What did I do the past week? Some buddies of mine, cage fighting buddies of mine, had some fights downtown. And it'd been a while since I went to go support any of my buddies who fight. So, every once in a while you got to go get your friend card stamped or you get it taken away. So it's like, well, I gotta go do this. And it was fun and fine. One of my gym mates who fights in the UFC, two of my gym mates who fight in the UFC. One of them was putting it on, one of them was helping officiate. Pretty good evening. It's weird though because there's a couple of people there who I only see at the fighting gym. And I don't know if you guys have ever had this. Maybe you're not as dumb as I am. But I saw these people, and they were like, "Hey, Nash, how's it going?" And I was pretty sure I'd never met them before because they were wearing normal people clothes.
Yeah.
And they had their hair down in normal person mode and not, tied up and wearing, fighting gear. So I didn't recognize them, and it took me a really long time to figure out who they were. Hours!
I think that's fair. So, if you see someone who's, normally always in, a uniform, or especially if they're wearing, headgear and stuff, too.
Yeah, it took me...
And that's the only way you've ever seen them.
Yeah, I've never seen them out, and they were wearing, what I thought were regular clothes, and they're like, "Yeah, we're going clubbing after this, can't you tell?" I thought those were your regular clothes. I've never seen you. I have nothing for scale here.
Yeah.
I don't know what you look like in real life.
Well, you aren't wearing protective gear.
Yeah, all I know is you're not wearing, Under Armour across your entire body. That's all I know. So it was weird. But that was cool. And then the next day, a buddy of mine was having a party because he graduated from college with a degree in anthropology, archaeology. So, of course, he's got no job right now. Mm-hmm. And all the jobs in his fields are either you need a master's degree or they basically get nothing. Mm-hmm. And so I was at his party, and two interesting things happened. Interesting thing number one of his, I don't know if they're officially related, I'll call her rich aunt. I don't know, some rich old lady that I think he's related to, maybe. Or that is friends with his other rich aunt. I don't know. Old rich people showing up to give him money for graduating, just congratulatory stuff. And they got to talking, and she was like, "Oh, well, I have a friend who runs the State Museum. We could get you a job there, making pretty good money. And, you wouldn't need a master's degree or anything, and you could work in the State Museum." And so afterwards, my buddy and I were talking, and he's like, "Yeah, man, because I just got him on at a job, because I knew of an inn." And I was like, "Oh, you should do this." So I pulled some strings with some people I know, and I got him this job. And he was like, "Yeah, I might get this job doing this stuff at the museum." And I was like, "Hey, two-way street, buddy. If you get this sweet job at a museum, you got to get me a sweet job at the museum."
Yeah.
Because I am equally or more so qualified, but in different fields. And that would be rad to get a job at a museum because, ideally I would work in acquisitions.
Yeah.
So, the shadiest...
You get to go travel places and...
the shadiest part of museums.
We found this crazy thing.
Museums never want to admit that they get the stuff that they display from...
Oh, yeah, from, black markets.
Grave robbers and stuff, yeah. And that would be me. I'm not saying I would rob the graves. I'm just saying I would come back with items.
To the grave robbers.
I would come back with items that were of a valuable historical, cultural nature, and give them to the museum for large sums of money.
Yeah, no, that'd be
that'd be totally rad. Even if I just wound up as a docent, just walking around some exhibit, being like, "Yep, this is an old rock that they found. It's probably some kind of weapon. This is painting, maybe. It's pretty old. We can't tell if it's just a lightning strike on a different rock, or this could be a smear of poop. We don't know." And I did that every day. That'd still be fine if the money was good, because then I could take massive leaves of absence to go do stuff. So that would be pretty rad. So maybe I won't have to tend goats all the time. But, I also, employment is not freedom. It's not the same as freedom. So I'm not going to be shackled to some place. That's why working in shady acquisitions would be ideal. But also at this same thing, one of his nieces, technically a niece, but the same age as us, she was like, "Hey, what have you been up to?" And I was like, "Oh, the usual." She's like, "Oh, regular Nash stuff, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Oh, so hunting treasures and fighting monsters and traveling around the world, hunting down weird stuff and doing things like that. And I was like, yep, that's right. She's like, yeah, I knew it. I knew you were going to be up to something like that. You never disappoint. You know, you're like the real-life Nicolas Cage. Now, really let that sink in for a second. Like, the layers of meaning to that sentence are phenomenal. First of all, just on the surface, Nicolas Cage isn't a real guy? Like, is he a fairy tale?
Nicolas Cage is a real person.
Right? Like, he's a mythological Greek hero.
It's not like, it's not even like a historical figure. He's still alive.
You're like the real-life Nicolas Cage. And I was like, he's a real guy, though. And she was like, no, I mean, like, you're like all of his characters rolled up in... Because I was like, what do you mean? Like I'm an eccentric guy who thinks everything's a good idea, and I'm overly enthusiastic about those ideas? She was like, yeah, I don't know. You're just like all of his characters.
Well, I mean, that does necessarily not describe you.
Right, and then I was like, yeah, all right, yeah, I'm gonna take this as a compliment. Which, hilarious, because last week we were talking about how ridiculous of a show it would be if Nicolas Cage and I teamed up to go adventuring around. But then I told my buddy, and I was like, yeah, I'm the real-life Nicolas Cage. And he was like, what, confused? Broke? Stealing things from other countries? Like, yes, all of those things. Because, you know, he bought like a T-Rex skeleton from China that was stolen for like $13 million or something, and then
I had not heard that.
Yeah,
one.
he had to.
I know he spent money on some pretty crazy things.
It had a huge collection of islands.
Yeah.
And his accountant, if he's got one, like never told him he was out of money, so now he's just like contractually obligated. That's why he comes out with like 3 movies a month.
Right.
Because he's like $1 trillion in debt. He's just an indentured servant to Hollywood.
Basically, he was ordered by the courts essentially that. If he's offered a role, as long as it's like a legitimate movie and not like some kind of scam, like he basically has to take it.
Yeah.
So that's why he just turns out shitty film after shitty film.
I mean, I don't know if that's fact, but it sure it makes sense to me. But yeah, I was just like, man, yeah. So he got this T-Rex skull or whatever from China that was stolen, and then he had to reappropriate it to China because they caused a big huff. So he had to give it back because he bought it from someone who stole it from a grave robber. You know, he's his own museum.
I was also seeing another article last week that was confirming, because we were talking about like mini dinosaurs now they think may have had less scale-like skin and more feather.
Yeah.
Not necessarily feather, but feather-like.
Right. Yeah.
But they're saying now the T-Rex though they think did actually have more scaly skin.
Yeah, I imagine a T-Rex being like a bipedal saltwater crocodile. It's kind of how I imagine it. But, speaking of that, on to whatever we're going to call the news segment.
The news segment.
Yeah. It's got to have a catchy name. Something like, you don't know what you're talking about, and nobody does. But, yeah, so just briefly touching on some of the themes and things that we talked about last week. Item 1. In the news right after last week's episode, Air Canada had an emergency landing on one of their flights because the cabin was smoking. They were just flying around up in the sky, and then there was a bunch of smoke in the cabin, so they had to land, I think in Seattle, on an emergency. They never released what the hell was going on. Knowing Air Canada, their plane was probably just on fire for no particular reason of any of the passengers.
Makes sense they wouldn't want that getting out.
Yeah. In Florida, which I just terrible plane travel situations. In Florida, there was a 11-foot-long, 500-pound alligator that ran into an airport runway and jumped up and attacked a plane as it was landing. Nice. It was one of those biplanes, and so it actually did some significant damage to the plane before the alligator was taken out.
I would imagine a 500
pound 11-foot alligator. I mean, they got nothing on saltwater crocodiles who have like a 20-foot vertical leap and can destroy everything.
They're like literal monsters.
They are literal monsters. But, an 11-foot, 500-pound alligator, nothing to shrug off. Yeah, nothing to shrug off. So the plane was flying down, and I don't know, maybe thought it was a big bird or something. It just jumped up and attacked it, and then they wound up killing it.
Took a chunk out of the wing.
Yeah, it did. But apparently, this has happened 4 times in the past 20 years on record. That's what they publicly disclosed. Yeah. So that number's probably higher. So
it's just a part of life living in Florida.
Right. That's right. So for those of you in Florida, leave, because that's what you got. there. A different thing, you know, these not necessarily related to last week, but things we talk about on a regular basis. Recently, in the past few days, an Aztec temple has been discovered beneath a Mexico City hotel. Did you guys hear about this?
No.
It was a Mexico City hotel, shitty Mexico City. Well, not that Mexico City is shitty, but, you know, just a regular Mexico City hotel. There was a large earthquake in 1985 that destroyed the hotel, and they've been kind of working on it ever since.
And kind of clearing out the rubble.
Yeah, you know, just getting to work, taking siestas, trying to find money to fund the projects, trying not to get their heads cut off by cartels. You know, Mexico City stuff. And they finally got down to working on the foundation, and when they broke away some of the foundation, they noticed an anomaly underneath, and quelle surprise, there was an Aztec temple underneath. An ancient Aztec temple that had been undocumented and undiscovered, complete with... So most Aztec temples are square. This one's actually circular. They think that it is in reference to the Aztec wind god. But it does contain one of the famous Aztec sports ball courts. They're like the precursor to basketball soccer.
Yeah.
Where if you lost, you were murdered. You were a human sacrifice.
And you may die during playing, too.
Yeah, you also may die during playing. But then if you lost the game, you were sacrificed as a human sacrifice. And not only did they find this court, but they found remnants of the vertebra from the neck from one of the beheadings from the sacrifices for someone who lost. So it's pretty historically relevant, and they know that it matches up for the time period.
I did hear about this now.
Did you?
Of all places, on Q95, on the Bob and Tom show in the morning.
Okay.
It was like one of their news items that they were talking about.
Did they say anything of relevance?
Well,
anything I'm about not to say, or
no.
I mean,
they were very brief on it, but basically, I remember now because after you said the whole, they found remains of where they could tell were severed.
Right. Yeah.
Like the neck.
That's right.
Being severed, or the head being severed from the neck. But yeah, now that you said that jog, I remember I did hear this actually on Friday.
so apparently the temple is from the time frame of the king before, I think Montezuma was the king of the Aztecs. I might be remembering incorrectly, but when the Spanish showed up and completely raped all the Aztecs, the king before him, so right at their height-ish. And they know that it matches up because as the Spanish were destroying everything, they carefully logged, they described everything in the area, and all the descriptions match up, as well as I think some of the dating that they did. So it seems to match up. So their current plans are they want to finish rehabbing the hotel and then put a museum around around the ruins so that they are protected from the elements, the sun and everything like that, and people. And then that way they create a museum that people can visit and actually see this temple, but also the temple will be protected. And no one knows when that's going to be done because it took them 30 years to get this far.
I mean, surely this thing can get done in another 100.
Yeah. I mean, in Spain, the La Sagrada Familia, the famous gigantic church that they're building there, they've been building it for 100 years or 200 years or something.
Yeah.
They take their time. They're all on island time, and none of them are on an island. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I feel their pain because I too am on that same time scale. But you gotta crank it up if you want to build a giant megastructure or something like that. So I thought that was interesting. And then, final bit of relevance to prior discussions here before we get into the meat of today's episode, which is a pun. For those of you who want to listen to the episode twice, you'll get it. You're not going to get
also our sponsor is food.
That's right. Yeah. All right. I guess it's already been spoiled. Whatever. Also a pun.
Also, it's spoiled.
No one beats me at my game. They found 300,000-year-old human fossils in Morocco, which have messed up the totality of human history, quote-unquote history.
Right.
These are humans, full-on Homo sapiens.
So that'd be almost 100,000 years older than...
About 2 to 3 times older than previously thought. Previous estimates put Homo sapiens...
I thought 150,000 or so was what the generally accepted...
Yeah, mid-range estimates put it at about 120,000 years ago when Homo sapiens started kicking around full speed. This is about 2 to 3 times older than that. And they have, there were several complete skeletons, or near complete, or fossils, I should say, near completes, that they were able to date the layers around it to find out exactly how old they were. And there were tools around, and remnants of fire and anvil type use. So it's completely changed, which I have always said. So, you don't know what you're talking about, and nobody does. The news segment.
With the whole, I know I brought up a couple different episodes of the Guape Tepe.
Yeah.
I finally really remember where it is. It's in Turkey. But yeah, like same thing there, where they're saying that, obviously they had to have tools to make this.
But
they're saying
the current dogma states that there were no tools.
Right, that they weren't using they would have been using stone tools or something at that time.
Right.
Which couldn't, make the structure.
Yeah.
But you're saying there that they have metal tools.
Not necessarily metal. They were tools that had been fashioned by, hardening them in fire. I think they were probably more stone than metal. I don't know that they'd been actually forged or anything like that, but they were using fire and rock and harder rock to hone their instruments. So that's pretty impressive. Or at least it seems that they were using those things.
Right.
Huge caveat, science is constantly evolving with our understanding. But also, not only does that put humans, Homo sapiens, about 3 times older than previously thought, but also it's disrupted because they found a similar thing. So this is in Morocco, in northwest Africa. They found a similar thing towards the south of Africa. Not quite from the same time period, but similar-ish. And it has dispelled another pre-established form of academic dogma, which was there was a a cradle of civilization, where initially civilization was sort of generated, where people evolved and generated their sort of techniques too, and then spread out from there. And this looks like 2 or more isolated cases
on opposite sides of a continent.
Right,
of a huge continent.
Of people coming to be, and then their societies also coming to be independently. So it's really thrown a monkey into their wrench works when it comes to what they know and don't know and understand and all that stuff. So very exciting news. So if someone doesn't blow a hole in that Antarctic mound before I get there, I'm gonna blow a bigger hole. That's right. I'm gonna blow a much bigger hole than that. So now that the science is out of the way, onto the fun stuff. Now this is all topical to today. 28 minutes in, we're doing all right. And some of that, I think, was wasted chatter at the beginning.
Yeah. Try the joys of Amazon.
That's right. So Japan, one of your places you like to hear about and learn about and all that, and one of my homes, I guess you could say. At least as close as I get to having one of those. Recently, they had a short order restaurant that they had. It was a temporary restaurant, so it was never meant to last a long time. But it was the order mistakes restaurant, basically, where all of their servers had dementia. And so
all right,
you go in knowing this.
Yeah.
You know that whatever order you place is likely not the order that you will receive. And the purpose for this restaurant is severalfold. I guess all the proceeds went to helping research, dementia, and things like that. Just cognitive illnesses in general, or cognitive degenerative illnesses in general. But also bringing attention to dementia, but also giving people with dementia a place in society where they can contribute and they can be accepted and get feedback and stuff like that. But also on the other end of the spectrum, so the patrons of the restaurant not only were educated about dementia, but also it kind of put their shit into place, because a lot of times if you go to a restaurant and you're like, I want a thing, and then you get a different thing, you're usually pretty pissed off, if you're me. So this is kind of a situation where you go in and you know already likely what you get is not what you're gonna get.
Right.
So one famous food critic went there, and they ordered the hamburger, which is supposed to be pretty good, and they got dumplings. And they said the dumplings were exquisite. So, at least all the food is good. Probably the chef doesn't have dementia.
Yeah.
But all the service.
I would hope that at least, whoever's preparing the food,
right. It's just come back.
Knows how to make all the stuff.
Just the plate. You get the plate and it's just full of silverware. It's just like I've got 10 forks and a knife on this plate, but there's no food. I don't know.
At least you get food.
Someone's like, I got a bottle of soap. I don't know. Is this? I don't know what to do.
Bon
here.
appetit.
Yeah. Bon appetit. Yeah, and then one other thing, there was a fufu shishi Japanese restaurant. I think it was also in Tokyo, but it's they use image projection and sound projection onto your food to enhance the presentation.
Ooh.
So you get a thing, and then onto your plate, you know how they have the interactive, projected images.
Yeah. So like with this, you would get you would hear the sizzling of the steak or something.
I think even more than that. So they want to project an experience. You know how sometimes people associate certain things with certain foods. Mm. So you're like, oh, I want, I don't know, a piece of pie and a turkey or whatever. So in the States, they would then project autumn leaves and a cool breezy sound to give you that Thanksgiving autumn feast sort of vibe. Or so in Japan, if you got I don't know, a slice of watermelon and a pickled plum, they would have cherry blossom petals projected around you, and then birds and chirping to give you that spring. Every time I eat this, I think of spring. So it's really the whole experience is what they're going for. It's they got the taste and the presentation and the sounds and everything. So I thought it was pretty crazy. I'll probably never go there because
I'm sure it's probably very
unless
expensive.
Someone else pays for it. Yeah.
Now, speaking of food things in Japan,
yes,
I've read this more than one place, but
then it must be true.
Yeah, that's why I want to ask for someone who's been there and may know. I've read that Kentucky Fried Chicken has become a Christmas tradition.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where you go. It is, man. Their Kentucky Fried Chickens are so nice.
Well, fast food places in general.
Yeah, but their KFCs. That's where you go for Christmas dinner. You get a cake.
Yeah,
you get you get nice. You get a whole cake. You get a nice chicken spread. It's a whole. It's kind of what you would think of if you went out to eat for Thanksgiving or. I don't know, one of the major holidays in North America. It's that, but it's at KFC. And it's you got to get on a waiting list a lot of times.
That's why I read that. You basically have to
it's a big deal.
A month ahead of time.
It's a big deal.
Pre-order everything, because if you wait until a couple days before, you're not going to get any chicken.
No. You're not even going to get in. Your name has to be on the list. And most KFCs have a statue of Colonel Sanders out front that they decorate seasonally.
Yeah, I've seen the pictures of that.
Yeah, they'll put him in samurai armor or Santa Claus clothes or whatever's going on at the time.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that's just weird that they really hooked onto the image of Colonel Sanders.
Yeah.
And just they really liked that, romanticized that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I guess it became so popular.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's all true. Everything you've heard is true about KFC.
Okay, that's one thing.
That's
I've read it, but I don't know if that's really true. If someone's just exaggerating.
Yeah, if you go on my blog, I don't know. There's pictures of KFC all over my blog, but they're hidden. I don't have a subsection that's KFC holidays, but they're around if you want to hunt for them.
Okay, so that's an actual thing.
That's
good to know.
A real thing. Yeah, some other fast food places. I mean, McDonald's are nicer. But they're still McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I actually don't eat fast food. So, the only time I go is if I'm with friends, and then I'm just sitting around, just enjoying the ambiance while they eat fast food or whatever. But it's a much higher caliber fast food. I will say, where did I go? It was KFC when I was there for the couple of months last summer. Actually, we're gonna talk about this in today's episode. But this takes place in the same time period. I was dating someone who came over to Japan, and I was supposed to show them around, and they just really wanted KFC, and I was like, no, you're doing it wrong. You got to eat Japanese food while you're in Japan, but they weren't really having it. So I was like, well, you're jet lagged. We'll go to KFC this one time. And we did go there, and I ate there, and damn if it wasn't the best. They made I got like chicken fingers or chicken nuggets or something, whatever they have there. But they were all made fresh. Like, they made them in front of you, fresh. And they were so good. So good. And then we went to a Japanese place, and it was awful. And that's not the norm. I mean, I eat at a lot of places in Japan, and this just happened to be an isolated case
anywhere.
Where
some of them are good, some of them are not.
Where
so
I
good.
had to deal with like days of I told you so's because I'm expounding the virtues of Japanese food, and I'm like, you're never gonna get
horrible with the KFC, and it was amazing.
Yeah, like son of a bitch.
See, American food's better.
I am never gonna hear the end of this. Yeah, she's gonna be impossible to live with after this.
They do it fresh, like they have fresh chicken, or they have the fresh frozen, like the frozen stuff, and they just cook that for you.
Pretty sure it was fresh chicken.
Yeah,
Really?
like forever. There's like they actually like basically have like refrigerated chicken. Like it's already been like
Yeah.
cut and everything.
Wow.
But yeah, basically they like bread it and fry it like as you order it.
They've got
fantastic.
when you get a little bit farther out towards the country, but not like way out in the country, they've got vending machines on the side of the road where the farmers put fresh eggs in there every morning. And then you can walk by and like get fresh eggs that were just laid like
Dude,
that morning.
Everybody needs to live there, dude. That's every new thing that I find out about Japan.
Look,
I'm like,
Japan
why
has-
do I not live there?
Japan
It's
has a
incredible.
crazy
Don't get me wrong.
obsession with vending machines. Period.
Every place has its pros and cons. Like, don't romanticize it. I mean, every place has its ups and downs. But they are the kings of the vending machines. Whatever you can imagine comes out of a vending machine there. I'm talking all the booze. You want your drugs. You want your used panties if you know where to look. Like, they're all there.
Well, and like another thing I had read, which again, maybe you can verify this, that it's not really a vending machine, so to speak, but it's basically a restaurant, like a fast food kind of restaurant.
Right.
That there's literally no interaction with a person.
Oh, this is most
And-
restaurants. You
and
put your
you-
money in and you pick what you want and you get a ticket.
Yeah,
And
well,
then you just-
with this, it's basically they put your food, like there's several like doors on
Yeah.
a wall.
Yeah.
And basically you order everything from like an electronic kiosk, he gives you a ticket, and basically when your food's ready, like it'll just light up a number on there.
Yeah.
And you just open it, and you never see a person, but someone's in the back basically making all the stuff.
Yeah, and like stocking the shelves. Yeah, that's a real thing. Fantastic.
That would be, you see, that's great.
It is great. It is great. It is, they've perfected a lot of things. I'll tell you what they haven't perfected. We're going to get there. We're going to get to what they haven't perfected, especially in the realm of food. But if you have any other Japan-based questions, ask away, because I got them. Oh, but yeah, so anyway, the dementia thing, right? Mm-hmm. So these people got dementia, they don't bring you what you want. I don't know why they had to open a special restaurant for this, because every time I order something anywhere, people sass me and question what I'm ordering every single time. So, we were talking about this before the show started. Recently, I was at a movie theater seeing a film, which we won't name because I don't want to date the episode, but just to say that I do love watching films and the cinema. And in this particular one, you could order booze and have it brought to you, which I did. And so they show up and they were like, hey, heard you wanted a margarita. And I said yes. And they're like, well, we have a special margarita for this film that we whipped up. It's a new flavor that only exists for this. It's supposed to really capture the essence of this film. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, I'm into this. Like, what do you got? And it was some horrible sounding flavor combination, like sriracha sauce and chocolate milk. And I was like, I don't want this margarita. Get out of here with this. And they're like, well, you could just have a regular margarita. I'm like, yeah, I would like a regular margarita, please. And they're like, well, we don't actually have regular margaritas. What we have is a selection of flavors that you can choose from, including the traditional classic lime margarita. And I was like, all right, what are my options? So I was with a buddy of mine who was with a girl, and she got a strawberry margarita. So I was like, okay, all right, that sounded pretty good. What do we got here? And they're like, oh, we got strawberry, we got the classic lime, we got watermelon, and we got blackberry. And I was like, ooh, you know what?
Sounds like
Blackberry sounds real good. I will have a blackberry margarita, please. And the lady's like, okay, you want anything in there? And I was like, yeah, give me the lime. I want the lime. And she's like, I don't think that would really mix well, because the lime is kind of tart and the blackberry's sweet. It's probably gonna clash. And I was like, bring me the lime. I want a lime and blackberry margarita. She's like, all right, well, do you want salt or sugar around the rim? And I was like, you know what? I want salt. And she was like, well, the thing is, it's like with
Just
fruit.
hit it with all the different flavors.
Yeah, she's like, the thing is with fruit is you want like the sugar usually accentuates like the blackberry, it really makes it sweet. You really feel like you're drinking that fruit. Like, shut up and take my order. I want a lime and blackberry margarita with big ass salt crystals around it. And that's what they brought me. They brought me a half lime, half blackberry margarita with just the biggest rocks of salt around the rim. And I kid you not, the best margarita I have ever had. I was really impressed, and I'm hoping to one day recreate this myself.
Well, I mean, a blackberry margarita
Exquisite.
sounds really good.
Right. But when you mix it with all the other crap that I did...
Yeah, that's, I was on board with the lime. I do like limes, but that's the one thing I don't like about margaritas is the salt. Like, I just don't get it with salt or I'll get sugar.
Yeah.
I don't like mixing savory and sweet.
I normally don't, but for some reason I was just like, bring me this. I threw darts at a board, and this is what I'm ordering. And it was really good. But
they all cancel each other out. That's what happened.
I'm just drinking
It's like
air.
drinking water.
There's no flavor in here, but I'm getting really drunk. Yeah, so they're always questioning me. For example, so this is back to Japan. Same lady I'm with in Japan. I'm taking her around. This American girl. She's not really cultured, so to say. So I'm trying to drag her to another Japanese place. Then we finally bartered. She was like, all right, we'll go to a Japanese place, then we'll go to like an American place, and back and forth. I was like, fine, whatever. That's more culture than you've had in your whole life. So
we'll get some octopus balls now.
Whatever.
But,
yeah.
Gonna eat some, McDonald's later.
Yeah. So we're walking around, and we're on our way to a cultural site, and there is this place called, well, it's not called this, but it is in the style of an American diner, like American breakfast diner. Like, I'm trying to think of a place that would be similar.
Waffle House.
Like
a nice Waffle House.
Nicer than Waffle House. What's a place that's kind of like
Sunshine Cafe? Like, I don't think those are around anymore.
I don't know.
I mean, Steak and Shake in the morning.
Nicer than that. Like, it's got an official...
Well, I mean, it sounds like, I know there's a place in New York that sounds it's just like the Floridian.
Okay. I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe like, if anyone's heard of Bob Evans, it's probably like a Bob Evans, in that it's that sort of, kind of like, it's got booths and, like, decor on the walls. But its whole theme was like, America! It's an American diner! We got American breakfast food! Right here! And I was like, well, you know what? I do like breakfast, just in general. And this girl liked America, so why not? So we went in, and from start to finish, this place was the worst. The worst! So, outside of most Japanese restaurants, there is a menu posted before you even get in. So you can stand on the outside of the building and decide if there's anything on the inside that you actually want. And that way, you're fully sorted by the time you get in, so you're not like me, and you get ferocious menu anxiety when people come around and they're like, are you ready? Can I take your order? Because I'm ready to take your order. And you're like, ah! And then you just point at a thing. And then you spend the rest of the meal with vicious food envy.
Or you're not trying new stuff because you're like, I don't know, I'm gonna make the split decision now. Well, I know I like this or that.
Right? Yeah. So you can hang around on the outside of the building and get completely sorted before you go in.
Now, do they put prices on there?
They do, yeah. It's the full. It's the full thing. So you can.
Because there's a bunch of places in New York that do that. Like they'll have the menu display,
right?
But they don't put prices on there.
Yeah, no. This
and
is
then you get inside, and it's like
full shebang.
Oh yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah, I want a chicken club sandwich.
Yeah, this is...
And you go inside and it's like a $30 sandwich.
Right, you're like, son of a bitch. No, this is the full thing. So you can fully gauge whether this place is for you or not. So it's quite nice. So I'm like, okay, yeah, they've got the pancakes. They've got eggs. They've got the... what I want, like orange juice. Like the traditional... whatever. You couldn't get a full English there, but you could get like a full American there. So, pancakes, eggs, bacon, juice. The reg. And so we go in. This chick wanted pancakes. I wanted pancakes and eggs. So we go in. Nobody's waiting on us. Pretty regular in Japan because there's no like server culture in Japan. They stay away from you because they don't want to be a bother. So nobody takes your order until you're like, yo, I'm ready to order. Then someone comes over. But which is fine because I know that. But there just wasn't anyone around. We were
There was no one to
there
shout
was
to.
no one to shout to. We were like the only ones in there. There was like the cook in the back, and I was like,
You're kind of just sitting there wondering, did they just forget to lock the door?
yeah, like someone sat us and left. And it's like, hello? I'm still hungry from before, from when I first got here to eat. Hello? And like the lights shut off. But so someone comes around and they're like, oh, I can help you. I'm like, yeah, she wants, because this girl didn't speak any Japanese. So I was like, yeah, she wants pancakes. I would like pancakes and eggs. And then the waitress was like, excuse me, sir, pancakes are kind of sweet. And I was like, yeah, I understand. And she's like, well, eggs are like, they're very egg, they're kind of like a meat.
I've eaten both these foods before.
And I was like, yeah, I get it. I get it. And she's like, well, I just don't think that they would mix well, flavor-wise. I don't think you should eat both of these.
It's like, you'd be very wrong.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm good with it. And she's like, I couldn't in good conscience bring you both pancakes and eggs. It's two different meals.
It's like, well, you can put them on separate plates if you like.
And I was like, I want pancakes and eggs. And she's like, I don't think you do. And I was like,
my question then is like, okay, so are they making like actual, like American style pancakes, or are they making like okonomiyaki or something?
they're American style pancakes, but I mean, you got to think it's an American style restaurant, but it's in Japan, so it's catering to Japanese people,
Right.
that want sort of like a romanticized Japanese version of American food.
Right.
In the same way that in North America you can go to a Japanese restaurant,
Right.
but it's not
It's
authentic.
not what they eat there.
It's not authentic. It's the romanticized, what Americans, the version of that North Americans want to eat of Japanese food, right? It's not a one-to-one typically.
Right.
So I was like, I want pancakes and eggs. And she's like, look, it's gonna be gross. And I was like, bring me pancakes and eggs.
Right. Maybe I was supposed to. I don't want the eggs in the pancakes.
Yeah.
I want-
Yeah. And she's like, well, it's like two different meals. I'd have to bring them on two different plates. And I was like, then bring them on two different plates. And she was like, okay. So then an exorbitant amount of time passes. Like they had to build a brand new kitchen and then cook our food in it. And then these tiny pancakes come out.
$silver pancakes.
And they're so dry. They're like 100% made of sand and Elmer's glue. They are the worst.
hardtack. Yeah.
Worst pancakes. And there was nothing to lube them up. So I was like, hey, could we get some butter, please? And this lady comes out with like the tube of butter, and I swear it was candle wax. Like it was definitely candle wax. And I know what real butter is. If anyone's listening and they're like, well, this guy doesn't know what real butter is.
Yeah.
I know what real butter is.
Yeah.
I've been around. This wasn't real butter. I don't know what this was, but it wasn't butter. So I've just smeared it on, like with the angriest face. And then the girl's like, I can't eat this. I need syrup. And so I was like, okay, so I'm like, oh, excuse me. And the waitress was like, yeah. I'm like, could we get maple syrup, please? Bearing in mind, so if the girl were around, she could corroborate this story. So in Japanese, the word for maple syrup is a katakana, like Japanese pronunciation version of maple syrup.
Maple syrup.
Maple syrup. Syrup. And so like I'd be like, blah, 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 blah. Maple syrup, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, hey, excuse me. Could I please have some maple syrup? And the waitress responded with, maple syrup? Question mark. And I was like, maple syrup. And she was like, got it. And then she came back with a thimble full of honey. And I was so pissed.
Now, like I actually prefer honey on my pancakes, but yeah, if that's what you're asking for and they
Right.
confirm it,
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a double triple confirmation. And then my orange juice came out, and it was a big glass of ice with like just the tiniest drop of juice. And the whole thing was like, I don't know, $50 or something. Like 50
Wow.
US dollars.
wow.
And the whole time, me and this girl are just scowling at each other, face to face, in silence. And then she's finally like, I hate it here. Like, yeah, me too. Let's get out of here. And then we left. It was awful. But they're always just questioning. Like, yeah, I know what pancakes and eggs are. We perfected the combination about 100 years ago.
Yeah.
In England. It's fine. It's been fine. since before your borders were forced open. Pancakes and eggs and beans and bacon.
Yeah.
All fine. Toast. It all goes.
Now, my friend Mike, he's currently living in Spain. Then he lived in France for a while. One thing he said that the foods that they have there that we have here in the U.S. as well is bacon is not nearly as good.
Right.
I don't know about Asia, but he said in Europe that they basically use a different cut of pork.
Yeah.
They said that one, it's healthier because it's a leaner cut.
Yeah.
But he said it does not taste nearly as good, and that's one thing he misses. He's I miss American bacon.
I find that Japanese bacon is tastier to me because I don't like American bacon as much.
I don't like mine to be super fatty, gristly.
I just
and I like
don't...
it to be crisp, not
I like the leanest cuts possible of everything.
I mean, I often get turkey bacon.
Right, yeah.
Just because I don't like it to be super greasy and gristly.
Right, yeah, I don't. I mean, I understand the attraction to those things, because that's fat.
I like the taste, but I don't like the texture.
Right, fat is what stores all the flavor,
yeah.
or the majority of the flavor. So when you're biting into it, you're like, yeah, there it is. There's the juice I need. but I don't.
But then you start chewing, it's all right.
Yeah,
now it's gum.
Yeah. I get the attraction. It's just not for me. Let me see here. Oh, so yeah, that was one of numerous times that people have questioned my orders, and usually, and by usually I mean sometimes, I know what I'm talking about when I'm placing an order. The other, whatever, 88% of the time, I'm in a panic mode because I haven't had time to properly review the menu, and I don't panic in life, in my real life, pirates and international borders and totally fine. But
being in situations where
food
most
menus,
people would probably be panicking.
Yeah, I don't.
You're like, what the fuck ever.
Yeah, yeah. I have an inverse amount of functionality, so I'm totally fine in situations where other people aren't. But I'm a mess in normal society. I don't function well. If I have to go and look at a menu, I need help. I need help.
Or it's just going to be something I'm going to take my time to make the proper decision.
Yeah,
I'm actually going to contemplate what would I like to eat.
Yeah, and that's what I
now.
do, and it doesn't work well in group dynamic situations, which is the only time I go out to eat. Otherwise, I just forage for food on my own. Yeah. But if I'm out to eat, everyone's like, "Let's go!" And I'm like, "Oh, geez!" I get the anxiety, man. I haven't had time to study all the individual details of the menu.
And I will say, most of the time if I do go out to eat, I usually know what I'm going to get beforehand.
Right.
Or I'll have it I want this or this.
Right.
And I'll decide what it is, within 5 minutes of when I get there, which one I'm going to go with. But yeah, my friend Mike, he was very much like that. He was like, "Oh, I don't know what to get. I want this, but this sounds good.
Yeah.
I've never had this."
Right. See, that's the thing. I'm not a picky eater. If anything would dare take a breath, I would dare eat it. I will eat anything. I'm not a picky eater, but I am a healthy eater. So I need to weed out all the shit that's actually not food for my body. So I'm all right, once I've done that, now I would rather have a new thing since I'm out than something I've already had. What's the closest thing to a new thing? And it's if I don't have time to crunch all the numbers, people are just like, "What do you want?" You're like, salad with a sandwich inside of it.
Yeah.
They're like, "A what?" I want
salad, no dressing.
Sauce on top. Sauce of what? Cranberry pie. Just panic. I want an avocado and caramel
avocado.
apple.
That's it. Just an avocado.
Yeah, just panic. They're like, super salad. I'm like, I would like the super salad, please. The largest, most super salad you have. Just panic. But yeah, so now that we're almost an hour in, we can actually start reminiscing and telling stories here. Top food.
I already know about bad food decisions.
Yeah.
My go-to stories. I once ate salmon it was cooked salmon.
Right.
But it had sat out in my car.
Okay.
During the summer.
The entire summer, all 3.5 months.
No. For
okay.
for a day and a half.
Okay, because 3 months is too long for salmon. in a car.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I found out like a day and a half apparently is too long. Worst food poisoning I ever had.
Did you poop your pants?
No, I just never left the toilet, so I didn't have an opportunity. But,
you just didn't wear pants.
Yeah, it was awful. Just like horrible stomach cramps, nonstop diarrhea, vomiting.
Oh yeah, I've had lots of food poisoning.
For like basically like 2 days straight. Where it's like, it was bad enough where I was like, do I need to go to the hospital?
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
yeah, diarrhea kills a lot of people every year.
I know.
Still.
I made sure I kept drinking lots of water, keep myself hydrated.
I myself have almost died of diarrhea several times.
But, yeah, just awful. Like, the salmon tasted fine, though.
Right?
It tasted perfectly fine.
That's the worst. It's just like,
But, like, it was fast acting, too. It was like 2 hours later.
Yeah,
like,
it does not take a long time. It does not take a long time.
Like, it smelled fine, looked fine, tasted
So
fine.
is that the grossest or weirdest thing you've ever eaten? Because that's today's topic. What is the grossest and or weirdest thing you've ever eaten, either on purpose or accident?
Well, probably a mix of both grossest and weirdest is, so in, like, elementary school, we used to do the whole, I dare you to eat this concoction of stuff from the current day's lunch.
Right.
And I once ate/drank so it was like one of those plastic apple juice container.
Mm-hmm.
So it was about half full of apple juice. Had a big dollop of peanut butter.
Gross. I mean, I like those things separately.
Yeah. Well, again, like all the separate components are things that I like.
Right.
But it was all mixed together. So I got a dollop of peanut butter, half a thing of apple juice, one of those like country crock little pads of like butter.
Oh yeah.
Tossed in there, a bunch of salt.
Okay. I think if you'd have blended this together properly, it might have actually been a good spread.
Thing. Like
it would have been a good like biscuit.
And I think there was like mashed potatoes.
Probably gross. Take that out.
And green beans or some kind of vegetables like green beans. Yeah, pretty sure it's green beans.
Good for your health.
But basically, yeah, all put it into this like cup, and they bet me $5 I couldn't finish it all.
Did you win?
Oh, I ate it all.
Excellent. Did it stay inside your body?
Yes.
For the regular amount of time?
Yeah, I didn't puke it up or anything. It did not taste good. But I found what worked best was basically they put everything in there, and basically
what did they put it in? Like a bucket?
In the apple juice container. So it was like the plastic was like the foil peel back top.
Right.
So it was like I had about half the apple juice already gone.
Yeah.
And I just dumped everything in there. So what I did was before mixing it, I just drank all the juice out of it.
Right.
And then kind of like stirred everything up with a spoon and just kind of ate it. Yeah, it was not good, but it was not awful.
I mean, from a strictly numbers perspective, that's a pretty nutritious.
Yeah. I mean, it was, like I said, they did put a bunch of salt in it.
Nutrient dense.
Like basically, almost not like an entire shaker, but like probably like half a shaker of salt.
Well, you know, if you were lost in a desert, you'd probably want that concoction. It's got all the nutrients.
Yeah, you get you got the peanut butter that's very calorie dense and protein. Right.
Probably not the salt.
Don't really want the salt, but you got the hydration from the apple juice. You got the some nutrients from the green beans.
Although if you were low on salt, if you had
need it.
hyponatremia, then you'd probably want that salt. So, judge on your own. So that's the grossest and weirdest thing you've ever eaten.
That's probably definitely the grossest thing. Weirdest. I mean, it's not really weird for me. Like I'll eat pretty much any kind of seafood.
Excellent. Have we had durian on this show yet? Have I ever made you eat a durian?
No.
That's happening live one of these days.
Oh, is that the horrendously smelling fruit?
I like it. But
the one that's illegal to open in the market because
that's the one.
So bad.
That's the one. We're doing that. We're doing it.
And we'll do an outside episode.
No. This is happening in here, and your house is gonna smell like flaming baby diapers with the baby still inside.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
I've eaten shark. Whale.
Those are all regular things.
Yeah, like I said, it's not weird for me.
Right. Yeah. That's regular food. That's food.
I've never eaten any bugs.
Okay.
I've watched stuff where they actually look appetizing.
Yeah. I've eaten tons of bugs. I don't even count that as weird.
Yeah. I guess I haven't really eaten anything like super weird.
Okay.
Like again, it may be stuff that might be weird to the average person,
Right?
But like, it's totally food. Like lots of people eat
Yeah,
it.
snakes and horses and sharks and all that.
Yeah,
Totally fine.
Like yeah, I've had bear meat.
Dogs and cats? Had any of those?
Not to my knowledge.
Delicious.
That's what I've heard.
Like I said, if anything would dare take a breath, I would dare eat it. And if anything wouldn't kill me, I would eat it. Did I tell you? It's too bad, because I have all these other stories that I probably won't be able to get to this one since we're already about an hour in. But have I told the story yet of eating the blowfish? The fugu? The black tiger blowfish where I saw the guy die?
No.
Excellent story.
It's like, oh, I saw the guy, you're like, oh, I'll have what he's having.
Yeah, excellent story. Yeah, I actually had to go on a quest for it, but remind me about that. If we've got time, we'll circle back around.
Like for even when it's like, you know, prepared correctly, that there's still enough venom like in the flesh that
not when it's prepared
go numb.
Sometimes, yeah, but when it's prepared correctly, because the poison gland, if you pierce it, it's odorless, tasteless, and colorless.
Right.
So you don't know that you're about to die until you eat it, and you need a special license to prepare it.
Yeah.
For that reason. And it's full of tetrodotoxin, which, the blowfish, the fugu. It's actually what they use in Haitian voodoo to create the zombies, because it stops your heart and kills you pretty quickly. But if you get just the right amount of dose of the venom, or the toxin, rather, it stops your heart and then restarts shortly after, but it can fry your brain. So they created voodoo zombies with those, because these people were, like, brain dead. So you just create slaves with that, or you can fake your own death if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But lots of times people just die on accident because it wasn't prepared properly. But we'll circle back to that on one of these.
Couldn't they like? So it's odorless, tasteless, and colorless, and blah blah blah. But you know that it's poison. So like, why wouldn't they like develop some kind of a test with like a Q-tip where you can like stroke along the fish and then you dab it in a solution and it turns purple if it's poison? There you go.
I'm sure they probably could.
Or could they? I don't know. Maybe there's something in the flesh that would trigger
possibly,
no matter what.
Is it like the best fish ever in the world? Like,
well, I don't want to spoil it for you. This is part of my story. You want me to just tell it now? Because we're already balls deep into the story. There I was. Are you happy? I had other stories on the docket. This episode's going to be crazy long again.
We'll come back to it.
There's no time. I'm too far in. So there I was.
20 seconds in, there's no turning back.
You know how I operate. I only move forward. Giant flashing arrow, beating up goons in trash cans, eating chicken out of dumpsters, kick through windows, hit people with pipes. My life is a side-scroll beat 'em up.
I ate some dumpster bagels.
Oh, dude, I have eaten so much food from dumpsters. I lived off the dumpster food for months before.
Yeah.
It's free.
Well, like, especially around here, like in the States, like, if you know where to look.
Yeah.
So many places, like, throw out their food at the end of the day.
I've done it in 3 different countries.
And if you know where to look.
4 different countries.
You
5?
can get completely good food. That's not like,
No, it's totally
mixed
fine.
with like coffee grounds.
Yeah,
and shit.
it's not
like actual trash. It's
it's
just
a
bag
separate,
of food.
Yeah, it's just a bag of perfectly fine food that had to be thrown out for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 5 countries have lived off of dumpster food for a significant amount of time. But there I was. Are you happy? Blowfish.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I was in Japan. I wasn't even going to tell the story. I'm going to try to get through it as fast as possible. It's good. It's not very long. It's more of an anecdote than an actual story. It is a mini arc, so it's technically a story. But I was in Japan. I was getting ready to leave again. So I was at the time where I was, I'd be like there for 3 to 6 months, and then leave for 3 to 6 months, and then come back, kind of like I do now. And my buddy had an apartment that when I was in the country became our apartment because I didn't want to pay for my own apartment anymore. So I just shacked up with him for several years. So it was our apartment. I was getting ready to leave. I had just finished my summer of amazing questing and spiritual training and all that. I'm trying to think, what would I have just done? Did I climb Mount Fuji for the 2nd time, or was I a Buddhist monk that walked almost 900 miles barefoot through 89 temples and all the different geography of an island, all the climate zones? I don't remember. I just finished something. I think it was the monk one. But anyway, as a going away present, my buddy was like, hey, you're going to be gone for, like 6 months or a year or however long you're going to be gone. Why don't I get you something? Super nice guy, like real nice guy. I've talked about him before. I've never mentioned his name because I try not to mention names on this show. I just give him epithets and things like that. Real nice guy, though. And he's the type of person who cares about you and your well-being and your safety. And if you care about the safety of your friends, I am a terrible friend to have. So, like, every time I would go on one of my zany quests, he would be like, you're really worrying me because this sounds like a really awful idea.
Yeah.
Maybe you should take some supplies and do some research. And I'll be like, I'm fine. And let's just head out. But so he's getting ready to leave. He's like, hey, why don't we do something, going away present? Like, oh, yeah, that'd be cool. He's like, well, what do you want? Like, I don't know yet, but I know I want something that I've never done. Let me think about it. So we're walking around. The apartment used to be right outside of, or still kind of inside the jurisdiction of the Yakuza district, the Japanese mafia. That's where I feel at home, is like in the red light district of Tokyo. The joke is that you don't need a passport to be in there. Like, it's just it's getting unfortunately cleaner now.
So is that like the Shinjuku area?
Yeah, it's inside, it's a sub-district of Shinjuku. It's a Kabukicho.
Yeah, and that's what I've kind of read too, that like, in more recent years, it's
the past
kind of lost some of the edge.
The past 3 years, man, especially last year, it's just me and one of my buddies from France were walking around, and I was like, "This is depressing." And he's like, "Why? Everything's clean, and like
exactly.
we're not gonna get stabbed." And I was like, "I miss the feeling that this used to have." And he's like, "You just are comfortable with the underworld is your problem." Like, yeah, it puts me at ease. I don't know. Like, it just, I don't like the fakery. You can get fake facades anywhere. It's just the Kabukicho was so honest. They were like, prostitutes and drugs, and we're definitely going to take your money. We are going to rob you if you walk through this door. But, like, it's fine, because, I'm fluent to a degree in Japanese. We'll say fluent. Because I'm forgetting English words right now, and I would say I'm fluent in English. In Japanese. So I could get places, and I lived there for long enough that I could interact and be fine. And not
just constantly wandering on a day-to-day basis into like being
right
attacked and mugged everywhere you go.
And that's the thing. I mean, I'm not saying I never got in a fight with the Yakuza before, because on several occasions I did, but it's just I'm comfortable in that zone so I could navigate it properly. There was just a good a chance that I would rip them off as they would rip me off, so it's fine. But one time my buddy and I were walking around, and we passed a fugu restaurant, Blowfish. And you know how in some fancy restaurants they have the tank out front or inside where you've got all the lobsters swimming around, and you point to it and you're like, I'm gonna murder this one. You're gonna become part of me now. So they had that, but it was for fugu, and one of them was dead at the bottom of the tank, just upside down and sank. And I was like, well, that's probably not a good sign.
Half off.
And about that time, an ambulance rolled up and ran inside and burst out with a dude on a gurney. And if this guy wasn't dead, then he was temporarily dead. But I'm pretty sure this guy was dead, because they wheeled him like right past me. This guy was so dead from the fugu. And as we talked about earlier, odorless, tasteless, colorless, and you need a special license. Sometimes things happen. This guy was dead. Like, if he wasn't dead, then he was
dying.
Yeah. And so I was like, that's what I want. I want to try fugu. Never had this before. My buddy's like, what? Like, you just watched this guy die. I'm like, yeah, but the guy wasn't me, so it's fine. And he's like, I don't know, man. I'm not really comfortable about this. I was like, it's fine. He's like, all right, maybe, but not from this place. Like, all right, that's understandable. So, get on his laptop, do some research when he's at work, being a functional human being. And I find out that the standard blowfish fugu goes for, $40, $50 a serving, whatever, depending on where you go. But there's a special rare, or more rare kind of fugu called the black tiger blowfish, the tora fugu, or like kudo tora fugu or whatever. And it's like $200 per serving. And I was like, well, well, he's probably not getting me this one. I'm not gonna have him give me this one, but the regular one, that's fine. So we're walking around, and he decides that that we can't find a place. We can only find the place where the guy died, and he's like, no way, not cool. And so then in my travels, I'm like kicking around the Yakuza district, and I find a place that's literally underground that's selling black tiger blowfish for, instead of $200 per serving, for $20 per serving. And I was like, this is the place. And I did some research to find out if it was actually like, are they just serving me like slivers of salmon? Yeah. No, it was legit. It was legit. And my buddy was like, no way, man. No way am I buying this for you. This is in a shady area, shady price, everything's shady. We just, you just saw a guy die. No, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not getting this for you. And we got in a huge fight because I was like, look, man, if you don't get this for me, I'm going to get it for me. So you can either be there with me while I have this attack and give me enough time. You can call the ambulance.
You can call the ambulance.
Yeah, you can call the ambulance for me, and maybe I'll live. Because if you're not there, then I'm definitely dead. And he was just like, I'm not going to be the one that murders you.
It's like, I'm not going to condone this.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not going to contribute to you dying. And I was, he's, or what did he say? He's like, I don't want to do anything that would help you die early or something like that. And I was like, yeah, my lifestyle has already got that covered, man. Like, this is happening one way or the other, so you got to square up with it. So we did go, and he begrudgingly bought it for me. I didn't die. And to answer your question, not that great. It's not even good, really. I don't know who decided that this fish was worth rolling the dice of your life over. Because it's very mediocre. It's just really expensive. It is the caviar diamonds of fish. Like, it's not that rare, and it's not that good, but rich people need something to brag about.
Yeah.
And that's what
I
it
guess
is.
the whole allure to it is basically, the danger associated with it.
I guess, Russian roulette is fun.
That do you ever watch the what was his name, like Anthony Zimmerman? He had a show for a while.
Is he fat, or does he look like he used to be on heroin? Yeah, that's Andrew Zimmerman.
That
he eats a bunch of dicks. He's always eating dicks. And every time he eats a dick, he's like, well, this is palatable.
Yeah.
I'm like, ugh, stop using that word to describe all the dicks.
But yeah, he had a show where he would just go around the world eating weird foods.
Dicks, exclusively.
Well, in one of the episodes on there, he had fugu. And he's like, I've never had it before, but I always wanted to try it. It's like, so I go to this place, and, this is some, super highly certified, world-renowned chef, so, I'm not too worried about, dying.
Right.
but yeah, he, ate it, and he's, eating, he's like, yeah, it's not really good.
It's not.
But he was saying still, there's enough, residual
right
toxicity. He's like, yeah, my lips are kind of going numb.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, it's not bad.
It's
he's
not,
like, I've eaten worse things.
It's not bad, but it's just, if you had your choice between that or salmon, or that and tuna, or that and almost any other kind of fish, why? Why not just stick one of those things on the end of a stick and use it to kill other fish with?
Yeah.
It's so much... It's a misappropriation of resources. But anyway, that's the anecdote / tiny story.
And then side anecdote, that was the same experience I had with, Kobe beef.
Mm. Which I have
although, technically, what I learned later, if it's sold in America, it's not Kobe beef.
Right,
period.
Yeah. Right. I think in New York you can get some.
It's
or
illegal
maybe
to import.
Or maybe in California. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Because, or at least, that may have changed now.
Right.
But as of 2 or 3 years ago, it was illegal to import, and that was
I didn't know that.
when I had this.
Anytime I had Kobe beef, I was around Kobe, so I just
yeah. Obviously, if you're in Kobe, Japan, then yes, you're getting actual Kobe beef.
Right. Even then, though, you got to be skeptical. Not always.
Yeah.
Not always.
But yeah, I went to this kind of semi-famous steakhouse in Kentucky called Malone's. That I guess they've won, regional best steakhouse things for several years.
Right.
So they're pretty high end. They're expensive. But I was there for work, so I wasn't paying.
Excellent.
So I was like, you know what? I want some Kobe steak. That they served it there, and it's like for like an 8-ounce fillet, it was like $45. Actually, I don't think it was an 8-ounce. It was like a 6-ounce fillet.
That's a single bite.
Yeah, it was very small. I ended up getting more food. I ended up getting just like a regular.
You're just licking juice off a plate. You're like, I don't know if there was ever food on this plate or not.
Oh, I know this is always a point of contention for a lot of people, how well you cook it. I got it medium rare. I don't really like it rare. That's a little too undone for me. But I don't like it, like, past medium rare.
I like my meat...
As far as beef.
Almost, yeah, beef, yeah. I don't eat a lot of red meat at all, really. But when I do... at least when it comes to steak, I almost use the same rule that I use with bananas, where there's no stage of banana that I don't like. So it could be green bark, and I love it, or it could be the blackest juice, and I love it. So I could take a bite of a cow with my mouth, and it's still alive.
Yeah, like I'll eat a rare
this
steak.
is good. Or it could just be a smoldering coal, and I'm like, this is also good.
Like, I'll eat a rare steak. And same with, like, a medium. If it gets well done, that, to me, it just makes it not taste good.
Not taste as good.
Not good at all. if it's well done, I gotta have some like, sauce to put on
You
it.
do need sauce for the well done. That is true.
But anyways, so yeah, I got this Kobe 6-ounce morsel of meat.
Yeah.
It was alright.
Right? You're just like, fantastically underwhelming.
Yeah, but it's not worth, like, twice as much as I charge for a regular steak.
It's not worth a 14-hour flight and a drained bank account.
Yeah. It was like, it's like...
Now, was it real? Because
you
said it was in Kentucky. Was it real?
Probably not, I'm guessing.
Okay.
So usually what I've later found out is that when they label it as Kobe beef, it's basically that it's Kobe style.
So
basically they raise the cows kind of in the same condition, but it's not actually from Kobe, Japan.
Because I'm not a meat connoisseur, but even
I'm not by any means either.
even I, when I had Kobe beef when I was in Japan, even I, with my dulled simpleton palate, could discern the difference. So someone with like a normal taste range could probably really, pick up on the nuance.
Because like unlike Angus,
right.
meat, it's not like a separate breed of cow. It's basically that it's just from that region, and it's more so in what the cow is fed and how it's raised, the conditions it's in, and everything. That basically is the whole the cows are much happier.
Right. Speaking of that, here's the exact opposite of that. When I was in Morocco, apparently what you can do is you can eat live monkey brains, and so they take like a chimpanzee. And they've got a table with a hole cut in the center, and they put the table around the monkey's head. So just the head is sticking up. And then
the monkey's still alive at this point?
It's alive and chained down.
Okay, yeah. That's what I was kind of picturing.
And they cut the top of its head off, so it's still alive, but now its brain is exposed. And then you just dig a spoon into its brain, and it watches you eat its brains. And you watch it watch you eat its brains. And apparently...
That is horrifying.
Apparently it's... And I say apparently because I didn't do this.
Thank God.
And I didn't see this. I didn't go out
I would think, if nothing else, like, the sounds the monkey is making would just be horrifying.
I heard this from someone else who said that they did it. So I wasn't there. But apparently the reason it's done is because the monkey knows that it's dying and is being tortured, and its brain is then flooded with endorphins, and then you can like literally taste the fear of death while you're eating its brain, while you're watching it watch you eat its brains to death.
I've actually heard some of this stuff around the conspiracy theory circles.
Yeah?
Of basically a reason for kidnapping and torturing children.
Yeah?
Is that they eat them.
Right.
But they torture them to the same thing, release the endorphins, and apparently it just tastes amazing.
Yeah, see, I don't know if that's true. I have nothing against eating animals. but I do have things against animal cruelty.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is cruel. We are taking a sentient being and watching it
And
watch
eating it
you
alive.
eat it. Like, looking it right in the eyeballs as you're scooping its brains out. Like, yeah, this is your brain. Ah, you forgot what I just did because I just ate that part of your brain, but here it comes again.
Yeah,
there's
that's
something that bothers me. I'm not a full-blooded hippie, but something about that is over the line. I'm not sure what it is.
I have no problems with eating meat.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like eating the animal alive,
Right. I don't know, and even there's some fish I would probably eat alive.
fish don't have any feelings.
That's wildly inaccurate. But
I know.
yeah, but yeah, just that whole thing is amazing. Just weird, and like I said, I wasn't there, but just weird. How much time we got? All right, let's give it another 10, 20 minutes or so. I got some anecdotes. Here's some weird stuff I've eaten.
Okay.
Starting off at a young age, I ate some soap on accident because it was shaped like a cupcake, and it was one of those. Oh no, wait, was this soap? Or was this a candle? This was a candle. This is one of those candles that was shaped like a cupcake, and when you burn it, it smells like food.
Mm-hmm.
But it was shaped like a cupcake.
So you're smelling like, it
It's
smells
shaped
like
a cupcake and smelled like a cupcake, and I was running through this kitchen that had it in there, and I just grabbed it and took a big bite out of it. But then I immediately realized it was like a soapy candle and spit it out. Side note, I hate things that smell like food that aren't food. Don't burn candles that smell like
cookies,
cookies or a roast or something. Yeah. Don't wear lotion that makes your body smell like food. Like, you could smell like flowers or animals or nothing at all. Totally fine. Just B.O., whatever. I would prefer that to false food. Don't associate. I don't like it when I go into a public bathroom and the bathroom has been scented in such a way that makes it smell like candy. Because then when I'm taking a pee or defiling it in some way,
like, man, I want some Starburst.
Then in the back of my mind, I'm like, Pez would be real good right now. Something about this public bathroom makes me real hungry. Because I don't want to form a Pavlovian response where every time I walk into a public bathroom, I'm like, I want to eat now. Like, I don't want that. It bothers me. So keep your food smells to food and everything else to everything else.
I did remember now one weird thing that when you brought up the whole, like, you accidentally ate, like, a candle thinking it was food.
Right, that's one of three, by the way.
So I one time drank, basically, like, cooking grease.
Okay.
Thinking that it was apple juice.
Oh!
This is when I was very young. So, like, my parents used to get the, like, frozen, like, concentrate juice.
Right, yeah.
So basically it comes in like a can, like it's weird, it has like cardboard tube with metal like ends.
Right.
And it's just basically like frozen juice concentrate. You like dump it in like a pitcher of water. Well, anyways, my mom would use those cans to, I guess, like store like cooking grease, like cooking oil.
Right.
Like leftover oil, and left it like sitting on like the edge of the sink.
Oh,
well, when I was a kid, like when my dad would, like, make the apple juice stuff, like, it was always a thing. Like, this is like, again, I'm like 3 or 4. It was always a thing that, like, you pour the first glass of it like into the can, and I would drink it from the can. I thought that was great. Yeah. Well, then I see this sitting on the counter, and it has this orange liquid in it that, at a glance from a 3-year-old, looks like apple juice. Right. So yeah, I took a big gulp of that and quickly found out that is not apple juice.
Gross. And then a quarter of your heart died that day.
Yeah.
You were.
It was disgusting.
Yeah. From that moment on, you were not eligible for the Olympics. Your heart just could not stand the strain.
And at that point, I stopped drinking stuff out of like cardboard cans.
Well, you're smarter than me. A buddy of mine. So I don't know how old I was at this point. I don't know, probably less than 10 years old. I know at this point in time, I was basically a street urchin, just free roaming around, kind of like now, but much younger. No. And a buddy of mine who had, like, a regular family, his mother was, like, artsy, craftsy type, and she was always like doing crafts and things like that, but she was also baking all the time. So I would be in their house and just run through, and then in their kitchen there would be like stuff on the counter, and they didn't care if I just grabbed whatever was on there and ate it. So I was like, well, I'm a street child, so I'm going to eat whatever's on this counter.
Yeah.
So I'd just be like, yeah, take this, cookies, take this, whatever, sandwich, yeah. And so one time I run through and there's a plate on the kitchen counter, and it's cubes of fudge stacked up into like a pyramid, like a artsy sort of, like a good presentation sort of fudge situation, right? And I just real quick run through and grab one and take a bite, and it was a brick cut up to look like fudge, because it was some craft thing that she was doing where she just wanted it to look like food, but it really wasn't food. It's like a big bite of a brick.
You didn't, like, chip your teeth?
No, I'm built for this sort of thing. I'm a survivor. I didn't break my teeth, but I did take a big bite of a brick. I did immediately realize that it was a brick. Yeah, it was quicker than the soap soap candle. That one took like a couple chews before I was like, this probably isn't food. But the brick was instantaneous.
Tastes awful.
Yeah, the brick was instantaneous. And so I talked at the beginning of the episode. I talked about my friend who just graduated and got his bachelor's degree in anthropology, archaeology. That was him. That was his mom. And this graduation party was held at his mom's house this past weekend. And I went there, and I was gallivanting around, and I went to the kitchen, and I saw a wine bottle, and I went to go drink out of this wine bottle, but then I stopped. And I smelled it first, and it was fucking dish soap. It was dish soap.
Dish soap?
That she keeps...
In a wine bottle?
Yes, that she keeps, because it looks nice, so she keeps it by the sink, so that her dish soap bottle looks nice and like matches her kitchen decor. She almost got me again 20 years on. Well played, very old lady. Fool me 9 or 10 times, shame on you. But fool me this other time as a full-grown adult, shame on me.
That's actually like her whole thing now, is like camouflaged non-food items.
I think because I snuck into their house and ate all their food for like a decade, now it's like a fun game for her to see like what poisonous things she can make that I might eat.
Like she purposefully lays them out.
Yeah.
I bet Nash will try to eat this.
He'll go for this. It's like a cartoon. Like, I'm like, is this a real pie? Am I gonna go to eat this pie and there's like a spring-loaded snake inside, or like a mouse trap or something? Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So that happened. What else we got? Oh, we got a little bit longer. Yeah. We'll wrap this up in the next 10 minutes. I was on a Japanese game show one time in Japan. Have you heard about this? Did I tell you?
That you were on a game show?
Yeah.
No,
I was on a Japanese game show, food-based game show. So I wasn't a contestant. I was part of one of the games that the contestant would, like, play. So what it was Japanese people would go on a Japanese game show, and what its deal was. So I was going to school in Japan, and these people came to the school, and what they needed was a big handful of foreigners to go be on this segment of the show where they fed a bunch of weird stuff to foreigners. And what it was it's all the food the Japanese people used to eat like 200 years ago. Like traditional old food that nobody eats anymore. But that's like, people know about it because it's a cultural thing. Yeah,
but it's not like
but nobody
eats
it. Right, yeah, but nobody eats it. So they would feed it to foreigners, and then the foreigners would have like a zany reaction. And so the people on the game show would see the foreigner and see the food, and then they would have to like bet what the foreigner was going to do based on the food. So, like, were they going to like it? Were they going to be disgusted? Were they going to, like, have some kind of freak-out reaction? And the whole thing was about, like, zany reactions, right? I was actually living with a host family, like, an old-timey host family. And this was all just food I was just eating. Like your regular food? This was my regular stuff. Like, there's actually a video on my blog that one of my buddies from school took backstage behind the scenes at the school. And it's just me eating all the stuff, like, basically in the green room, and having a handstand competition with another one, handstand push-up competition with another one of my buddies. But it's like tiny entire crabs that I'm like eating whole, just don't have any effect on me. Like a box of crickets I just eat whole, don't have any effect on me. Like squids, I'm just like shoveling squids into my mouth. Like, none of these things bother me at all. And so I get on the show, and they're filming me, and they're giving me all these things. And they just didn't like me at all because I wasn't having...
no reaction to
I
it.
had
You're
no
just-
reaction. I was just like, more food, please.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, this is really good. Like, more food, please. So they did wind up cutting my segment of the show. So I was filmed for the show, but my part never aired. But the final thing they gave me, they did get a zany reaction. So they give me this, like, thick soup-like stuff, right? Like, real viscous, goopy and schloopy kind of room temperature stew. And I like take a spoonful of it. I'm like, oh no, I don't like this. What is this? Like, I don't like this. This is new because I don't like it, and I'm not used to not liking things. And so the guy who was like the liaison, Tanaka, he was like, yeah, it's this. I was like, I don't know that word, man. And he's like, let me look it up in English. So he goes and looks it up, and he comes back and he tells me some word, and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
What part of the animal did this come from?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what that is. And he's like, let me try again. And he's like, it's fish, the testicles and semen. And I was like, oh! And he's like, is that boy parts or girl parts? I was like, boy parts, Tanaka, boy parts. And yeah, it just wasn't good. It was a big bowl of jizz and balls, jizzy balls. And I did fish, and I didn't like it.
I hear pig testicles are supposed to be
Rocky Mountain oysters.
like really tasty.
I've had them; they're not bad.
I've never had them, but
They're not bad.
I've heard. I know several people who have, and they say that
Not bad.
if you
I mean,
get over the mental,
I think it's the
aspect
same
of it-
thing. I think it's the same thing as brains. Like if you have like some good brains, a good tongue. Like
Yeah.
the preparation is the key, is what
Yeah.
it is. So I've had Rocky Mountain oysters. I'll tell you what I don't like: oysters. It's another rich person food.
Yeah, that's awful.
Booger rocks.
Yes,
I don't like booger rocks.
It's a shell full of snot.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. I've had them in several countries, and everyone's like, "Oh, you got to try them with the hot sauce. You got to try them with this. You gotta."
No, you just gotta eat them. They're awful.
You gotta stick like one or two fingers in there, and then kind of like suck it out this way, and then like try not to breathe through your nose. Like, no, it's gross. I don't like it. And if this booger rock is not gonna reciprocate on me, then I'm not gonna put forth the effort.
Slurping up a mouthful of phlegm.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. And this rock is not gonna. This rock's not gonna perform me any sexual favors later.
Yeah.
So no thanks. Pass. Hard pass on the booger rocks. I don't like oysters. That's just me. But yeah, I was on a Japanese game show, and ate a big bowl of jizz, and then they cut it. Didn't even get on TV. And then the grossest thing I've ever eaten, according to people.
There's something worse than
There's
the bowl of
something
jizz?
worse than the bowl of jizz, than the room temperature bowl of fish semen. The grossest thing I've ever eaten, according to people who, I don't know, crunch the metrics on these things that decide the hierarchy of the things that I do. Because I don't know, whatever. It was gross, but I think the jizz was probably grosser, but whatever. I drank bull diarrhea when I was in the outback in Australia in order not to die of dehydration. Yeah. So,
I mean, it seems like they would. They'd probably just eat grass. So
right, and the diarrhea was in like a moldy puddle, so there was some water in there as well, and a bunch of like mosquito eggs and stuff.
I mean, I'm sure it probably doesn't taste good.
No. So basically, in a nutshell, it's a very long and interesting story where I am the captain and leader, full of daring do and bravado, who leads his group to victory. But in between the start and finish of that, there was a lot of
Wandering the desert, almost dying.
We'll call them tactical missteps, learning opportunities. But basically, I did the wilderness leadership survival course in the outback of Australia for a couple months. The most dangerous part of the world. And at the end of the course, everyone takes a vote on who the top student is. So there's like 6 or 10 students and 1 or 2 instructors. And everyone takes a vote on who the top student is. And then that top student is then made the new leader, and the teachers leave. And the student has to lead the rest of the students for an entire week across the outback to the extraction point. That's the final test. And guess who Top Gun was? Nash! Right? I was universally voted as the best guy. So I was like, yeah, obviously I would be the best. Why wouldn't I be? I'm the best leader. I'm the best team player as long as I am the leader. And and I don't have to follow anyone else. So before you set out, you have to follow like a route. You have to file a route plan with the instructors because you're like a 2-day helicopter ride away from civilization.
They need to know generally where you are.
Generally, yeah, because you've got wild bulls roaming around, saltwater crocodiles, 8 out of the top 10 most deadliest snakes in the world. You got aggressive kangaroos, bird-eating spiders, and that's just to name a few. Not to mention just
basically all the wildlife in Australia wants to kill you.
All of it. Not to mention the terrain itself wants to kill you. We're talking big holes, just jaggedy mountains, a lack of water. The sun has gaps in its ozone layers. So you could just get a heat stroke and die or whatever. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and that's to say nothing of when you get towards the coast. I mean, that's a whole other set of problems there. So I was the leader. I was the new head guy. And so I had to file a route plan with the instructors before they left. So in case in 7 days, if we didn't show up, they would know where to backtrack to, try to find all the dead bodies of these kids. And so I'm filing the route plan, and they're like, well, where do you want to go? Here's where you need to end up in 7 days. Where are you going? And I looked at the chart, and I was like, where has no one been before? And they were like, well, no one's been over here. And I was like, well, that's where Team Nash is going.
Well, I was supposed to be more surprised where it's like, okay, so we start here, we need to be here. What's the route? You just take a ruler straight line like that.
Yeah. So I was like, we're going all over here. And they're like, okay, all right. And I'm looking at the chart, and I'm like, well, you know what? There's a place called the wetlands. This is probably our most likely spot to have water. Because, it's going to be a week-long trek.
It's called the wetlands.
It's called the wetlands. So after a couple days or whatever, we get to the wetlands, and it is a barren desert full of angry wild bulls. And to make a long and interesting story short, I'll tell it in full some other time. But we get driven out of this area because we're attacked by a herd of bulls. We have to climb up and over a mountain to get away. This chick twists her ankle and has a panic attack, like a full-on breakdown. Then we don't have water for another couple days. We find some water, but there's crocodiles in it, so we have to get just the bare minimum amount. And a couple days later, we still don't have water. And I'm using all the survival tactics to get more water. I'm digging under baobab trees and then creek beds and all kinds of stuff, and there's just legit no water. And I know you can go for 3 days with no water. And so my team's freaking out. I'm like, hey, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Just sleep. Just go to bed. Tomorrow, we'll have a full day's ruck, and then we'll find some water then. And then they're freaking out. Like, it's going to be fine. So the next day, we're walking around, and I find this big puddle full of bull diarrhea. And I'm like, well, I think this is it. This might be our... there's no guarantee we're going to find more water. So we better just drink this. And if we find better water later, great. If not, at least we're not going to die. And so you get these little drops... where you use like 3 drops per liter to disinfect whatever water you're about to drink. But if you use them for too long or in too great of a quantity, it kills all... If you use them for like more than 3 months for your drinking water, it kills all the flora and fauna in your intestines.
Like gut bacteria.
Yeah, so you can no longer digest food.
Well, and I've heard that like in a pinch, you can just basically use like a couple of drops of bleach.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously that's not a long-term solution,
right.
But it is a thing, and it's one of those things where would you rather die of giardia in 3 weeks, or would you rather die of dehydration in 3 days? Deal with tomorrow's problems tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things. And so I was like, hey, we've got these drops. So what I did was I took off my bandana and I put it over the bottle, and I used it to strain out the diarrhea. So just the juice went in. No chunks, no algae, no mosquito eggs. Just the diarrhea juice. And then instead of putting 3 drops in, I put 6, because I had just strained out a bunch of bull diarrhea. And I stirred it up, and it was, water-ish. And I drank it, and it was probably safe enough. But it didn't do anything for the smell. The smell was so thick, you had to chew it before breathing in. Like, it was such a thick smell. But yeah, so I did that, and then a bunch of people in the group did that. And some of them refused, and I was like, look, I'm not carrying you out of the desert. Like, we still have, 3 more days before the drop zone.
Yeah, it's like, listen, we don't know we're going to get any
Yeah, I
of
was
this
like-
dehydration. Like, you take what you have.
Yeah, I was like, you will drink this diarrhea or you will die, and I'm not dragging you around. And some of them just refused, and sure enough, in like a day, we found an actual stream. But I don't regret drinking that bull diarrhea. I made the right call.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
water
Like,
was not guaranteed.
yeah, you have
They
no
made the wrong
idea.
call, especially because I was the leader, and I had to be the most hydrated because I had to make all the decisions that mattered. But yeah, that story has a lot of other exciting parts to it. I just whittled it down to the part where I drank bull diarrhea and the Outback to stay alive. So that's probably the grossest / weirdest thing I've ever eaten. I mean, I've eaten a lot of bugs. I've eaten a lot of, just everything. Sharks, horses, whatever.
Think about it, I have eaten bugs, but not on, like, purpose.
Doesn't count then.
Yeah.
Oh, when I was in Malaysia, I was in this street market, and there was a stall selling goat's milk, but it was room temperature goat's milk.
I know that's, like, really popular places. Like,
Yeah.
Like, just tepid, frothy milk.
Yes, and here's the thing. Here's the thing about Malaysian room temperature.
It's like 100.
real hot, like real hot and moist. So it was like this bottle of goat's milk had been kept in someone's armpit and in their crotch for like a day. Like it was so sweaty, I guess is the best way to describe this goat's milk. And their tagline, you know how people have like posters, they'd be like, hey, this thing, it's the thing of the thing. You know, like, I don't know, whatever. M&M's, melt in your mouth, not in your hand, or whatever, something. This stall was like, goat's milk, tastes just like people milk. That was their catchphrase, and I was...
Apparently...
And I mean, I was there, and I was just like, one sweaty people milk, please.
Well, there's something I know with, apparently with, like...
It was good.
Super competitive, like, bodybuilders.
Yeah.
I guess, drink breast, like, basically pay to get breast milk. Like, human breast milk.
You know, there's lots of shops, novelty shops, that make special ice creams out of human breast milk.
Yeah.
And you can actually look at the menu, and they describe both the flavor of the ice cream and the lady who produced the breast milk. So you can be like, I would like the mint chocolate chip marathon runner's breast milk, please.
But yeah, I guess because with, like, the human breast milk, that there's, like, these different
Sure.
levels of hormones and stuff.
But you gotta get a healthy lady.
Right.
Otherwise,
So it needs to be from a healthy person.
Yeah,
Right.
Otherwise you're just siphoning off all the gross.
Yeah. But
You
yeah,
don't want that.
Basically, it like, like, it's apparently super effective if you're trying to, like, do...
It is.
Like,
It's
bodybuilding
critical
stuff.
damage. it's critical damage for...
But it's also apparently very expensive.
It is. Because you gotta milk a person
Yeah.
to do it.
Well, I mean, they have the machines, like,
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it.
But it's not the milk...
self-milking.
Yeah, it's not the machines... It's not the milking that's the problem. It's finding a quality person that's the
Right.
problem. You really gotta vet those people. Because you can have any number of mediocre cow or goat. But you don't want a mediocre person.
So, working in the insurance industry, I know that you can get a breast pump for free.
That's right, yeah, yeah.
Like, as long as you have, like, pretty much any insurance.
And I'll tell you, when I found out, as both a breast and ice cream lover, when I found out you could get human breast milk ice cream, I was enchanted with the idea. I've yet to have it, but I'm very excited. I know they have some in England, but I'd already left England. I'd already left London by the time I found out this was there. And I think they had some in New York, but I haven't been back since I learned of this thing. But
I can safely say, to my knowledge,
right.
I've never had any breast milk ice cream.
I want breast milk ice cream. But yeah, the goat's milk that was sweaty and tasted just like people's milk, pretty good. Pretty good.
Like, I know that in Spain,
Yeah.
that's like a very popular drink. This, like, frothy room temperature.
Yeah, the just starting to curdle
Yeah.
milk. Yeah, it's fine. I like it.
And
I like
that they find it, like, very refreshing.
I do as well. So
I mean, I've drank warm cow's milk.
I will pretty
like-
much anything
that's
that
been sitting, like, basically sat out for a while, and now it's like room temperature.
I'll tell you the three things milk/dairy product that I'm really fascinated to consume, or 3 or 4 that I have not yet done so. Obviously, we have human breast milk ice cream. I want that real bad.
I'm sure it tastes great.
Because it's ice cream.
Yeah.
I want giraffe's milk, which I have not yet had.
Okay.
Just fascinating. Just the thought. Like, this came from a giraffe. What a whimsical
Why don't
animal.
you finish your list before I...
Right, yeah.
go on
Let
with
me
something?
finish. Mouse milk ice cream. Because, like...
You have to milk so many mice!
Exactly! It's the opposite of the giraffe. I think hippos make milk, so that might be on there, too.
They're mammals.
Yeah, so I'll probably put a hippo on there. It's tied with mouse. Because hippos are, like, the most dangerous mammal.
Mm-hmm.
They kill the most human beings.
Oh, yeah. They're super dangerous.
They're like hippo v saltwater crocodile is like the modern day Godzilla fight.
Yeah.
Super fight. So probably hippo milk, because I'd like to absorb some of their superpowers. Which, as you know, if you eat a thing, you absorb its powers. That's why you eat the heart of your enemies, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Except I don't, because they're my enemies and I beat them, so if I ate their hearts, I would become weaker. Because I already am better than they are. So phooey on their hearts. Platypus.
I was going to bring up the platypus.
Platypus
Because
milk.
they don't have nipples.
They have cereal bowls. They have these
Yeah.
reverse nipple indentations.
Yeah, that it just like
and they
secretes
fill
through
up
their skin.
Yeah, they just like they lie on their back, and the divots just like fill up with milk, and then the weirdo duck, poison tip stinger, mammal hybrid,
platypus
beavers
are insane.
Yeah, then
like,
they come over and like lick the cereal bowl nipples.
They have like the poisonous dew claw thing, which no one ever mentions.
Only the males have the poison tip stingers in their feet.
Yeah, but everyone's like, oh, they're so weird. Like, oh yeah, they're deadly too.
And and they've got bills and fur, and they make milk, but they don't have nipples because they have cereal.
And they lay eggs.
They're
the animal that makes absolutely no sense.
They might make the most sense if you really think about them. And that's why
they're like a conglomeration of every other kind.
Yeah.
Of like.
So if I could only pick two, it would be hippo and platypus. Because I want the hippo's indomitable powers and the platypus's ridiculous amalgamation of things. So I feel like that'd be interesting. But giraffe is a close second.
Now, like, I wonder with some animals, like, I know with, like, I think it's the polar bear?
Yeah.
That, like, if you eat, like, basically eating, like, an ounce of its liver would kill you because it contains so much iron.
Yeah, well, I mean, livers are poison depositories anyway.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb, probably shouldn't be eating livers. I mean, in ancient Chinese medicine, they say if you want a stronger organ, you eat that organ from another creature. Partially true, but probably do your research first. Don't just go willy-nilly.
But I wonder, but kind of on that same point, like, I wonder, like, if different animals' milk potentially could be toxic.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
I
mean, technically, you can develop an allergy or an intolerance to literally anything.
Right.
And that lots of people, both in the know and just complete nutbars, claim that milk of any kind is not recommended for anyone
after, like, infancy.
Post-infancy, yeah. So, I mean, it depends on what your educated views on the matter are. I myself
and like when I'm saying toxic, I mean not like, oh, it's bad for you long term.
Right.
I mean more like, no, you like drink a glass of it and like you die.
Of toxicity, yeah. Of a buildup of some mineral or compound that, makes you extremely ill or possibly dead. Yeah. Yeah, the classical definition of toxic.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that slow buildup of like whatever crud in your lungs from smoking. Yeah. Talking real toxic.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, it's good. It's going to make me die 15 years early.
Yeah. We're talking right now, buddy. We're talking.
It's like, no, it's going to make me die in the next like hour.
we're talking mercury shooters.
Yeah.
talking big shots of mercury, which the Taoist religion, not the Taoist philosophy, but the Taoist religion, used to use mercury in a lot of their elixirs to try to promote immortality. And it killed them.
Yep.
The recipe needed tweaking. That's all.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to add? I mean, that's about all my notes on my food-related shenanigans for now.
Well, yeah. Yours are much more interesting than mine. Then again, you've been in a lot more extreme situations. I've never been in a situation where I've had to decide, like, do I really want to drink this cow diarrhea?
Bull
diarrhea.
Diarrhea.
Yeah, I've never been faced with that decision. I like to think if for some reason I was, that I would drink it.
That's right.
To survive.
You're a man of logic. I feel like you're a strong man who just has never been put in the position to utilize your primal strengths.
Yeah, I think.
Very normal.
Of course, everyone always thinks that. Like,
that's true.
Like,
yeah.
oh, if I was put in this situation, of course I could do it.
And to put that into perspective, Masoyama, one of my heroes who founded Kyokushin Karate, famous for fighting bulls to the death with his bare hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, you know what? He fought like 60 bulls to the death. I'm pretty strong myself. I'm pretty sure I could fight a bull to the death. And I was pretty sure I could fight a bull to the death until, like, the second or third wild bull I came across in Australia, in the outback. They're so big. Like, I've come across bulls that were, more my size, but in this area, someone was like, hey, watch out for the wild bulls. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Like, in my mind, picturing, like, a normal-sized bull and not, like, a juiced-up, like, just got out of prison bull.
2,500 pound.
Yeah! So then I saw this bull, and I was like, you know what? Maybe this bull's not for me. It's not a good starter bull for fighting to the death.
That's just like pure muscle and, like, basketball-sized testicles.
Yes, all of that. Like, man, this guy's balls alone could just break me. Or at least give me a good run for my money. So I was like, you know what? Maybe not everything. You know, you think you can do a thing until you're faced with that thing.
Yeah.
And I'm still convinced there are bulls I could fight to the death and be fine. But not those bulls. Not yet. Those are not starter bulls. You need to work your way up to those. Those are king of the bulls.
Yeah, it's like someone, would get in the box and be like, sure, I'll fight Mike Tyson.
Yeah, get grade up first. Maybe figure out if
90s Mike Tyson, like peak Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Maybe figure out if you're even a good boxer before you try to box Mike Tyson. You know, it's one of those things. Like, well, I've never fought a bull before. I'm gonna fight the biggest, baddest bull that ever lived. I'm gonna fight the first bull that ever walked the earth that's still around somehow. Like that. Like maybe don't do that.
Probably not a wise decision.
Yeah. All right. Any final notes?
I think we're at a good stopping point there.
All right. Well,
I am interested to hear some more about the traversing the outback.
Oh yeah, so many stories. So yeah, I guess public service announcement for this episode. Know what you're eating. Usually, just know if it's safe to eat. If you think figuring out what you're actually eating is going to scare you away from eating it. Just know that it's safe or not, then eat it, then find out if you like it, then find out what it is. Mm-hmm. Don't let your mind play tricks on you. Expand your horizons. Bend the sound guy who's scared of kimchi but has never had kimchi. Give it time.
I've had kimchi. It's good.
It's good.
It's like fermented.
It's
cabbage.
rotting cabbage, and it's delicious.
That's what sauerkraut is.
And it's fantastic for your insides.
That's true.
One step at a time. Don't judge it till you try it. But anyway,
I wouldn't just eat like a big handful of it, but
I would. I
It doesn't even look good.
I eat kimchi by the huge mason jar. I love kimchi. But anyway, that's this week's episode of the National Pastimes. I'm Nash.
I'm Aaron.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Panache.
Nash! Whoa!
All right, here we go. Start that timer. Welcome to the National Pastime. I'm Nash.
I'm Aaron.